Guilt. Feeling guilty. It's a thing that every single human being on this planet has experienced at some point. And to some people, it's a fleeting thing that comes into their head and they're kind of like, these things happen and they move on. To other people, it can be completely debilitating because it starts to really crush them from an internal perspective, and then it helps them ruminate in terms of negative self-talk. And I'm a loser, everyone knows this, I am getting found out right now, I'm useless at this, nobody would even trust me ever again to do those sorts of things. Guilt is going to be a thing that comes in, and it's going to manifest itself differently on different occasions for you, depending on what the circumstances and situations are. And it's going to be different for every single person. So you don't have that opportunity to be able to say, this was my experience, therefore this should be my process of dealing with guilt. What you really need to do, first and foremost, folks, is you need to acknowledge the fact that guilt exists, and then figure out what situation or circumstance or series of circumstances that it has attached itself to. Were you less than your best self? Have you been telling lies? Were you being less than truthful? Have you been deceiving people? Have you been in some way a criminal or doing something that you shouldn't be doing? Whatever that looks like, you're going to then be able to say, right, okay, this is actually why I'm feeling guilty. And then what am I going to do about that? Now, it would be great if you could just say, stop feeling guilty. I'm not going to do that anymore. Kind of doesn't work like that. So what you really then need to do is to start to think about the action steps that you can take. Don't push the feelings down. You're not going to learn anything from doing that. But acknowledge the feeling, feel the feeling as much as you need to feel the feeling, and then take appropriate affirmative action to figure out what you can do to reduce and hopefully eventually eliminate the feelings of guilt. And think about what that looks like. Is it an apology? Is it an acknowledgement? Is it to basically stop doing a particular thing that you are doing? Is it in some way to try and go and figure out with someone else, why was that such a source of conflict between us? I think I understand it from my vantage point. Can you explain it a wee bit more from your vantage point? Because I feel guilty about it and I don't want to do that. Because when you have any sort of negative emotion, it's distracting. And it's going to take you away from what your purpose is. And your purpose is your continued growth. Your purpose is to continue to contribute to whatever it is you're actually trying to contribute to. So when you have these distractions, then all of a sudden you're not your best self. You're not doing your best work, and you're not giving things your undivided attention. So figure out what you're feeling guilty about. Be very, very honest with yourself. This isn't going to work if you tell yourself a wee bit of a half lie and exaggerate your innocence or your heroism in some way. Don't do that. But think about where the guilt comes from. Think about your role in manifesting the situation that got to the guilty feeling in the first place, and then think about an action item you can take at a particular point in time. There will be something. I absolutely guarantee there will be something. So it's a normal, natural emotion that's part of the human experience, but it doesn't mean it needs to last forever, and it doesn't mean it needs to be completely debilitating for years and decades of your life.